first 40 days of Lent. We have started a tradition of offering a land acknowledgement during our worship service, and I've asked Nancy Davis to offer that for us this morning. Thank you, Nancy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was born here, as many of you were. I have walked this land all my life. And there were many, many others who walked this land before me. I live near Gig Harbor, near a beautiful and almost hidden bay, the Trois Wall Cut. A small band of native people of the Puyallup tribe built a village at Donkey Creek. The village had a 100-foot long house there at Donkey Creek. And the people who made their home there was because the fishing, the hunting, and the shellfish were so abundant. Over time, and I have to say, at first the Europeans didn't even know about that bay. It was hidden behind a long spit, and the entrance to it was only 15 yards wide. Over time, the Europeans arrived, bringing disease and for many death. Then in 1854, a treaty was signed resulting in most of the Trois Wall Cut being moved to the Puyallup Reservation. A few stayed behind, and eventually in 1919, that wonderful long house was torn down. We acknowledge the people who were here before us. We acknowledge the feet that walked this land long before us, and we are grateful for the care that they gave this land. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let us continue our worship by bringing in the light of Christ and centering ourselves in divine love as Jeff plays our centering music, Jesus, the very thought of thee.
lives do we dream about for tomorrow, void of sorrow, time spent regretting decisions decisions of our yesterdays, mistakes we've made. Sometimes we get what we get. Life disappoints us, and yet God is still here, and somehow this faith is good enough.
The liturgical season of Lent developed over the centuries as a time of deepened reflection. Originally a period of preparation for baptisms on Easter Eve during a 3-hour vigil or more, it later became a time for all Christians to take stock of their lives and examine how the connection to their faith was progressing or not, and to recommit to a life of goodness. This Lent, rather than feel guilty about what we have or haven't accomplished, what we have or haven't given up for Lent, we will spend time questioning how our culture's obsession with achievement and perfection actually keeps us from the true depth of life and faith. This Lent will take some time to turn our culture's obsession of climbing the ladder of success with tending the garden of our lives right on the rung where we find ourselves, nurturing our souls and embracing our holy, good enough lives and our good enough faith.
What in our lives do we dream about for tomorrow? Void of sorrow, time spent regretting decisions of our yesterdays, mistakes we've made. Sometimes we get what we get. Life disappoints us, and yet God is still here, and somehow this faith is good enough.
Let us join in with Nancy in the Unison prayer based on Psalm 91, printed in your bulletin or found on the screen in front of you.
Holy One, our refuge and shelter, we call out to you, sometimes in praise, sometimes in distress, as life goes. We are so used to putting on a filter. We slide into different versions of ourselves based on the circumstances. But we recognize we can bring our full selves to you. Give us the strength to pull back the layers to bring exactly who we are to you, knowing it is more than enough. Whether we perceive it or not, you are there. Open us this day to your presence in the smile of a friend, in the call of a bird, in the simple and good enough moments that fill our days. Amen.
There is a new hymn that I want to introduce you to called Hosea. Come back to me with all your heart. It is an invitation from God who longs for our return, regardless of where we are in our lives. That is what Lent is about, the turning and the returning back to the heart of God.